You get what you're given. Who cares? So, moving on. If you miss Solaris, then that's your problem. You need to get onto listening to her. If you missed her show, just finished now. It was great. I caught the last maybe 40 minutes. And they had a round table. And I heard some voices on there, Meki, that I haven't heard for a while. And it was really good to hear. A Mad Painter. I've not spoken to him for a while. So, Mitchell Bubb was there, Zoe B, and Bill Grant also were
Very nice.
on the show. I believe it's Bill Grant. I know it was Bill. But didn't sound. I don't know. Today it's like I've woken up in an alternate universe. This is Father's Day. Happy to all the people who celebrate Father's Day on this day. In America, it's a different day. So, you know. Each to their own, I suppose. I wanted to put it out there that a Mad Painter didn't kind of sound like himself there. I know he's going through a lot of things right now. Bill Grant didn't kind of sound like Bill Grant. And I'm happy to take some criticism if someone in the chat room can say, Dave, you're an idiot. That wasn't Bill Grant at all. That was Bill, and please help. It says Bill Grant. I can see that now in the chat room. Thank you. But, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Mickey, have you ever had to write the same word over and over again in your entire life?
Yeah, I have not.
I might have been in trouble a couple of times at school, but I've written a word so many times that I can no longer see it for the word it is, and it looks like it's not even a word. It looks like it might even be misspelled.
It lost all meaning.
It's, yes, the system in which you use to identify a word at some point is like it's a buffer overrun. Technically, and you can't identify it anymore. I fear it would be the same effect as, a hit to the head and you don't recognize faces. Do you know what I mean? Earth to make
it's a sensory overload. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. It's what you experienced was a sensory overload. Similar, not the same, but similar to when your receptors inside your brain are overloaded with a specific kind of drug. You need more of that drug, right? Except when you have the same stimulus played to you over and over again, whatever it is, be it the word becomes a, how can I put this best? Your mind is overloaded with that one word, and to the extent that it actually overloaded the neural connections and receptors that are responsible for letting you recognize it. Right now, you must have written that word a lot because that doesn't just happen. Okay.
Oh, it can happen with a simple word as the word the the.
Yeah, but you have to write it down a bucket load,
like 200-300 times.
That's interesting.
Honestly, it's the same thing as if you live with a house that has a chiming clock, like a grandfather clock. It could be a full height one, or a tabletop unit or something that chimes. It'll chime on the quarter hour, the half, the 3/4, and the hour. And the people in the house barely hear it. Will not know what time it is. You can ask them anything you like. You ask them what time it is. I don't know. They have to go and see the clock. Yeah, if you stay there for 15 minutes, or 14 minutes and 59 seconds, to be honest with you, you'll hear it chime. And it's a way of being able to keep up with what time it is without looking at it, because it's subconscious. But the people exposed to it don't hear it at all. They couldn't tell you what time it was. Couldn't tell you even in the hour. You'd probably look outside and take a rough guess.
I think I have to restart my
entire computer.
Yeah.
I'll see you at the other side of that, Becky. It's all good.
This is just ridiculous. But yeah, look, yeah, Dave, I'll be back.
I'll
in
take
about
it.
Five.
I'll take it. I'll see you when you get back.
See ya.
See ya. Good luck. Good luck. I'm sure everyone in the chat room wishes Mickey the greatest of successes rebooting his computer. Mine probably takes, I don't know, it doesn't take very long at all. But Mickey's does. And it's not like, a Linux person would say, oh, I've never, brag, I've never rebooted my machine, ever. There was a power failure once, but that can't count because I didn't actually reboot it to make anything work. You just kill a service and reactivate the service is the way that their mentality is for it. Windows, yeah, you might have Windows Explorer error, go in the task manager and restart explorer.exe. And that's pretty much, you're not going to do that to everything. You might have 10,000 versions of Google open, but they're no longer working, so you kill the Google app and then run it again. But no, the intrepid Linux people coming from a technical background will have never have restarted the whole. You wouldn't ever restart the whole computer. Just restart the service. Yeah, that's good. I've seen some crazy uptimes where people have screen grabbed or taken a photo of the uptime on their computer just to prove to me that it's legit. I've seen servers that have been up for years, which is really funny. That's just not right. Yeah. So, are you patching these things? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. Anyway, I wanted to run through a number of stories here before we end the first hour. Let's say that. I'm just going to say I'm broadcasting out of Dark and Jung Country. Now, in the middle screen, I've spoken this week about Indonesia and its people are, I think, to make the funniest joke, the people are revolting, says a government official. And it doesn't mean they're awful, it means that they're actually performing a revolt. They've raided their leaders' property, the houses, and just, it's been evidence, they've shown evidence of the extravagance in which these leaders live, and the people have been, hung out to dry pretty much on this. So the news story says Indonesia's government risks ignoring the root cause of one of the biggest protests since 1998. And the link to this story will be down below. But you have to understand that this is a very similar thing that occurs. And I'm going to say that there is a dysphoria that the government will appear to display in the media about any given protest, or for this matter, they call these protests. These 10 people died and more than 3,000 people were arrested during a recent protest in Indonesia. Courtesy of Reuters. Here, the image. Indonesian people are done staying silent, says the story. This is talking about last week's protest, which erupted in cities across the country, were the largest since the end of Suharto's 32-year dictatorship. It's the point I want to make with this, though, is the dysphoria. So the people know why the riots or the protests are going on. And in violent protests, peaceful protests aren't the same thing. If the people have really been pushed past the edge, don't push me because I'm close to the edge. If they get pushed over the edge, this kind of thing happens. I'm not going to lie. That is a thing that the governments are supposed to prevent by keeping us, not say under control, that is the secondary effect, but peaceful, all our questions are answered, don't do anything you weren't elected to do, and certainly don't go against the people. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, we've got the internet czar here creating an annoyance, I suppose, to every living adult who's going to have to prove themselves to be an adult every time with MFA that they want to ever go from Google to an app on their phone, or doesn't matter what it is, on their computer. They want to access the internet. They have to prove that they are who they are, because then legally they can be pursued for doing the thing or saying the thing or posting the thing, because we don't have free speech. I know there's a lady doing 21 months in jail for someone who had lost a child who posted something on someone else's post. They put a comment on someone else's post, and they deleted it 4 hours later, to be honest. And yet, that was enough for that person to land in prison for 21 months. But they deleted it. But they were horrified. And it basically, it was like rubbing them the wrong way with a cheese grater. Their emotions flared up, they wrote it, and then deleted it. And they still went to jail. I think the whole world has gone mad. We weren't as bad as the laws that are coming in suggest. We weren't. I don't understand why people don't protest about these new laws coming in. But I'll move on. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move on. So, if you see a protest in any given country, and it's just a peaceful protest, and there's no fires like this has, and there's no armed police down the sides trying to corral everyone, people aren't getting dragged into waiting police cars, kicking and screaming. If it's peaceful, great. That's what democracy is supposed to allow the support of, and that is people's right to protest against an issue, whether the issue is directly against the government or against a company or an industry or a regulator or whatever it happens to be. And I don't want to go any more specific than that, because I don't want to end up in some future courtroom with an AI that says you are under arrest. I don't want that. And I love the AI, by the way. I just think we're creating our new overlords. I'm going to move on. This is the Chinese Embassy concert commemorating Japan's World War II defeat, blocked from Parliament House. Now, China is claiming that they beat Japan in World War II. Our government has decided they're not going to allow a concert at the embassy. That's it. I'm kind of beside myself here, because we have our largest trading partner is, I think, beginning that stepping over the boundary into a new world where there's not one global leader, not two global superpowers, three maybe, and one's tucked in their pocket. That's four. And it's a change. It's a real change to the world's order. Is it going to become the new world order? And my good question here is, whose world order would you prefer to live beneath? If there was a one world government, whose one world government would you prefer to live beneath? What was originally a democratic society's one world government? Or who was originally an autocratic government that became a one world government? Or what about a dictatorship? Or just an authoritarian government's one world government? Because I ask the question because if you ever have a conversation with someone about what would the possibility be of the nature of a one world government, is it democracy? Well, that can't be that's an oxymoron. It can't be a thing. You can't have an elected official running a one world government. It's completely nonsense, because there's no one to compete against anymore. What is the whole goal? The WEF seems to think that it is a stakeholder economy driven solely by big corporations. So then we'd be living in, I suppose it would be not Dune, the other one. The one with the simulants. We'd all have product. We'd all have money that was, well, I just suppose it wouldn't even be money anymore, really. You'd be just earning credits. Any of the versions, it'd just be credits. Some you might be able to save, but only to a limited extent, and others you'd never be able to save anything, and you wouldn't even get enough to live, and you'd be all living just on the hair's breadth of surviving or not surviving, and if you were to do something wrong, you wouldn't survive. So the incentive to stay alive would be the only thing that kept you going. See, I see like a military style where as long as you're playing part in whatever it is, doing the thing that supports their civilization to go forward, then you're given all access to all of the good things that your society can do. It wouldn't be money, so to speak, but it would be credits for being a good citizen. See how, even when I say it, I kind of vomit into the back of my mouth a little bit, because it just sounds so hideous for us to even entertain the idea that this would be something we would do. And yet, it's well on its way. We're way past the conversation, will or won't they do it? No, it's already a thing, and they're already doing all the things to make it happen, and that's just that's the end of that discussion, to be honest. So if it was a dictatorship or an authoritarian, let's call it one world government, not regime, whatever, it's just what it is. Whatever that happened to be, however it was born, would that then be the flavour of that one world government? Or would they all kind of just... would any of them all turn out to be exactly the same? I find it hard to have like a military-esque style of rank that would get you to a point in your society where you would then lose. I can't see that happening. I know the Eastern Bloc countries, before the wall came down, there was a black market. You could kind of survive, kind of like the West, but hidden, if you will, and still have jeans and a bicycle. You could have money if you were on the black, if you sold things on the black market. If that existed, then I think the punishment in a one world government would be so severe you would never see the person again. It wouldn't be like there was prison time. I think all of the check marks and check boxes and overarching controls that would be put into a regular democratic society would no longer exist. So, like I've said, if we were to support a one world government, what shape would it take? What would the enforcement of it be? And how would we be affected at the front line? Because the elites aren't at the front line. They're just above everything, and there's rules for us, and then there's no rules for them. It would just be, the rules would only be applied to us. But anyway, I'm going to move on. So I saw that Donald Trump had signed a paper. I know I've got something I had to say on it, so I'm just going to move that across, do it to there. I've got 3 screens, so it's difficult to... If you ever see me not looking straight at the camera, it's because I'm looking left or right or whatever. And this is the Department of Defense. He's signed a change of the name. But is it really only the change of the name? This is a rebranding. And from, as Hegseth said towards... After it was signed, he did a piece to camera and spoke to the point of rebranding the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Said that not since 1789 through to 1947 it was called the Department of War, but became the Department of Defense post-World War II, and then that became the Secretary of Defense was the role, and now it is the Secretary of War. Can you see the stance difference between the two? I know the US was reluctant to join World War II. Kind of didn't really want to be part of anything like this, and as a result ended up, like, in effect, to be the world police. A role that was supported by everybody until it came to Trump and said, well, why are we spending all this money doing all this stuff? We shouldn't be doing any of this, he says. And he ran on that for the second time for his election and decided that was all, unrealistic spending. When you look at how much debt the US had, surely there's efficiencies that could be had. Every government is, I don't know, let's call it so fat on, that's high on the hog, or high on the horse. They're so interested in spending money on just nothing because of all of their process makes everything impossible to get anything done ever. So I think finding efficiency, number one, I approve of that, even though it's not my country. If our country here did it, I would probably just fall over and need medical attention. It's so ridiculous the spend the government has just to try to keep our economy afloat. And the only reason we've been afloat for the last, I think, 10, 11 periods, it has been because of the amount of government spend that's just got us over the line so we're not in recession or a depression for that matter. So, do I agree with changing the Department of Defense to be Department of War? It's not my call. I would say it in this climate, I think it might be antagonizing the climate to rename the department at this point along, but that's okay. People do what they want to do, and it's not my country to change anything. But there you go. It is what it is. Now, I saw this story. It hasn't made any of the media whatsoever, except for the Australian. I think because it's Antarctica, no one really cares. The Antarctic A23A iceberg, previously twice the size of Greater London, may disappear within a few weeks. It's now up to a latitude where it's in very warm water, and it says it used to be up to 400 meters thick. This doesn't look like it's 400 meters. Maybe it's 100, maybe 150 meters tall. But yeah, that's something else. Because it was born on land and floated out to sea, then broke off. It does change the sea level. That's really all I can say about that. I suspect that we should see many, many more of these, but it is what it is. I'm just going to read the chat room for a second. Yeah, so conduct detrimental in the chat room, because this is, a two-way street here, says American citizens did not want to participate in World War I or II. But the drooling and ghouling elite most certainly wanted war and did everything to bring it about, with the Lusitania, PSYOP, and Pearl Harbor manufactured attack. We call them false flags or black flags, false flags attacks. When you know something's happening, you do nothing about it, or you manufacture a complete lie. You can do that. That's also something that people do. Anyway, it gets the populace to agree with there being a conflict, and so once you get the buy-in of the people, your Secretary of War can easily sign it over. doesn't matter anymore. Bay of Tonkin, it's another one. You know, I dare say at some point in the future, if we ever allow enough examination of it, the mainstream media will even agree that 9/11 was a false flag. But we'll see. I'm not saying it was a lie, just saying the things really did happen, but did they happen in the way that they've been described, and why was evidence removed in the investigation, and why was the investigation so limited? Why was all of the material destroyed before an investigation upon the material and the way those buildings fell down was finished, or even started for that matter? And what about Building 7? What about the Pentagon? Why is only 4 frames available? Ridiculous. Where's all the other footage? Because it wasn't, it was a missile. And so what about, was it Flight 93, Pennsylvania? There was no aircraft there. Was it shot down? Was it just landed? We don't know. They certainly didn't hit the ground at all. Where are all the people on board of those things? What about MH370? Was that taken by aliens? Was it shot down? Was it all a hoax? I'm not saying it's any of these things. But was it simply landed in the British Indian Ocean territory to prevent the technology from going to China? All of those questions are fantastic questions to ask, because there's a gap, there's a void, there's a vacuum, and is the moment that you leave a void and don't control the narrative in anything, then the voices and questions will raise and fill that gap or the void, and the people, the netizens or the internet people, will start doing research, and then suddenly they're uncovering things that any single person could not have found. As a collective, I think it works tremendously. And that's why they want us all to be shut down, to be pigeonholed, to be put into our little cubicles and can't do anything outside of that. Otherwise, they'll be able to create a complete narrative around every individual, do sentiment analysis, psychological profiling, and be able to get you for a future crime before you've done anything wrong. Especially in Australia. What else to add? Oh, that's right. The Democratic Republic of Congo has now declared, guess what we got? Ebola outbreak after 15 new deaths. This is only this week. This is 2 days ago, this story. If you didn't think it was bad before, bleeding from every orifice, just from your eyes, it's not right. And you remember these places, you can say, oh, they're the home of completely natural pools of viral contaminants, that it's just a matter of time before another one happens to break out. But, so here's a quote, and it comes from Congo's health minister, Samuel Roger Kamba, who said, to date, the provisional report shows 28 suspected cases and 15 deaths, including 14 from Bulape and 1 in Mweka, as well as 4 healthcare workers. So 4 people have been cross-contaminated from the people they were supposed to be saving, and they've also died. Oh, it looks like Meki's on his way. Ooh, close but no banana. We'll see. I've got another story. Oh, hang on. Conduct Detrimental has made a comment here. I just want to be careful and not to call too much out. Yes, I agree with you. Conduct Detrimental in the chat room. Let's see if Meki is coming back online with his camera. There he is. Look at that. He's alive. It is really him,
Oh my goodness, it is me, and I'm just
It is.
happy to be. The thing is that takes a long time for my restart is Discord starting up. I'm looking at the chat here. What are we talking about? We're talking about false flags.
Oh, I'm past that now. I've done a couple of laps already, Mackie. A couple of laps.
There's this. Did you mention the renaming of the Department of War?
Yes.
Now, do you know why they renamed it?
You tell me.
Okay, so after World War II, because it didn't happen after World War One. Remember, it didn't happen. It was still called the War Department. Kriegsministerium, I think the Department of Bureau de la Guerre for the French.
It was from 1789 to 1947. It was known as the Department of War.
Correct.
With the Secretary of War heading it.
Correct. And every other country too. Same thing. Germany, France, same thing. Great Britain. But then, after the horrors of World War II and the creation of the UN, they decided, you know what? That's just no good. We need a psychological change. So they deliberately, it wasn't mandated, but a lot of countries agreed, we're going to change it. We're going to be the Department of Defense. We don't want war anymore. Whereas, see, with the Department of War, you are ready for war. Any war, defensive, offensive, doesn't really matter. The Department of Defense is really there to protect your homeland, not to go and attack someone. Now, I found it funny when Donald Trump said all this, it's too woke. So there was no wokeism in the 1940s. It just didn't exist yet, okay? But it was a psychological step change that was felt was necessary to go from an aggressive stance on war to a passive stance on war and condemn warmongers. I mean, tens of millions had been killed in World War II. And you have to understand, my grandfather told me the story, and my grandmother too. And my neighbors, in fact, and many people in this small village in Germany I grew up in. World War One, everybody was just eager and keen, and we're gonna knock the Frenchmen down again. Remember, I was in Germany, right? So they're telling me that everybody was just dying to enlist. Even World War II, people wanted to go and fight these wars. Okay, now, of course, the consequence of those wars was not what it had become after World War II. Because after World War II, we had to contend with the atomic bomb. Before that, we were not in a position to bring about an extinction level event. World War II changed all that. Okay. Yes, we could kill millions, we could kill tens of millions, sure. But we couldn't destroy the planet. A war couldn't do that. After, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that changed dramatically. Now, what we're seeing, this is what worries me, Dave. We're going back to the Department of War. Donald Trump is turning back the clock. First 100 years, then 80 years, now again 80 years, like the Gilded Age, right? The War Department, tariffs. I mean, it really is. It's like a nostalgic trip through his life. All the things he dimly remembers when he was sitting by his father's knee, telling him about, how the world was so much better during the Gilded Age. It's hilarious. This is dangerous, though, because Donald Trump, and he actually said that, Hank said as well, we are ready for war. We'll go to war, and which is odd, Dave. I don't know, you mentioned, I'm sure, but Donald Trump came in on the platform of not wanting to start any wars, of being the Prince of Peace, so to speak.
Oh, but then you've got your advisors, Mackie. Your advisors, they tell you, that's rubbish. We've got to get onto this. Otherwise, it's going to be too late.
Yeah,
and, all this smiling, nodding, you're doing a great job, sir. Let's blow some more smoke up your butt. And,
no, but you're right. But the thing is this, right? Because America is changing. We have military in the streets of America. And it's going to Chicago next. And I think Donald Trump tweeted, "You'll soon to Chicago. You'll soon learn why it's called the Department of War." He's saying that to Chicago. What? I mean,
well, Mickey,
this is now so.
Wait for this. When you're not invited to the biggest military display in the world, what's the first thing you're going to do? Yeah. No,
Yeah,
hey, over here, look, I'm
yeah.
making a Department of War now. We like war too. You know, it's
Yes,
like the kid that
yes,
wasn't invited to the party.
yes. We have a child. Oh, sorry. When I say we, you have a
We, you,
child in
yeah,
the
it's
White
not
House.
us.
Not Dave and I. You guys do. And that's. But see, the danger is so real now. We've never been so close to the end as we are now.
Did you know
So
even Mickey,
close.
even the what are they called? The Bulletin of blah blah blah. They
Yeah.
issued. You know how they have the Doomsday
Atomic
Clock.
scientists.
That's right.
Yeah.
They've got this, and I'll put it on screen. This is the Doomsday Clock from 2025 at January, but they've been issuing some statements via email, which has been suggesting that they're even more frightened now than they've ever been, ever, about what the status of the current world, geopolitics and the status of war and how close we are. They're saying it's changing like daily now. We're getting so close now.
Look, it is, and there's just, again, there's no precedent for this kind of thing, because he's actively, we've had a long period of relative peace. I mean, there've always been wars, but I'm talking about global peace, more or less, right? And there hasn't been a world war. Proxy wars, yes, and all kinds of things. And he has now moved us at breakneck speed into the eye of the war hurricane. He has blown up I think it was a Venezuelan boat, right?
Oh yeah,
they running drugs.
Whoosh!
And you know what the funny? Yeah, it was running drugs. Now apparently, the Navy had done some undertaken some missions. They came back with thousands of dollars worth of drugs. What, a couple of bags of cocaine and like a little baggie of heroin? That's about thousands. I mean, what is that? If they had said millions or tens of millions or hundreds of millions, you go, oh wow, no. But they said, this is the official reporting, they came back with thousands of dollars worth of drugs. That's someone's good weekend, I guess. That's I know a few people that partied in their time and back in the day, and that would have been a good weekend for them.
That might have been the bill on the credit card, Mickey, is what you're saying. Yeah, I get that.
Essentially, it's crazy. Go
on. So I've got on the screen here, this is the bulletin.org, and they've got a story here, and this is from September 2025. It says, September issue, the New World Order. And it's got Trump with on a chessboard with all of the pieces knocked over. And it's all photoshopped, right? Nothing's real these days, right? Whatever it is. But they've got him on there. It's probably AI driven. And the story around this is how this is changing the world politics. I don't know if it's changing it like we think it's changing it. I don't know how I'm kind of disappointed, Mickey, to be honest. I thought, the Prince of Peace, all those words you were using, I think that if any of that had happened, it would be in a completely different place now. I'm not sure that it would be as bad as it is. I went into the story here about, 10 minutes, 13 minutes ago, talking about the New World Order and which brand of, or say maybe governance in a New World Order with a one world government, which brand would you prefer it be? Autocracy, the democracy, which I said would be a laughing stock because you're not voting anyone anymore. What was I looking for? I said it. Anyway, with any brand you could have as a one world government, it would just turn into the same thing. They'd all become the same thing. And if it was only like a military styled one, like Star Trek, where you all have a rank and you all work towards the betterment of society or civilization on its own, then that would be fantastic. But I don't think that would be the way it would ever go. It could never go that direction. It would always be you'd only have enough just to stay alive, and if you did anything wrong, you'd just disappear, right? And that's the way I kind of see a dystopian version of a New World Order.
Yeah, I agree with you. In fact, look, I'm looking at the chat room. Mitchell Bob, conduct detrimental batsman, and I think it is finally dawning on people that Donald Trump is not part of the solution. Donald Trump is as much part of the problem as all of the other oligarchs and billionaires and pedophiles and so forth. This is again, I find it hard to understand how the American people, a good chunk of them, could have been duped. And I think what we're seeing here was this need for hope, Dave. The American people needed hope, and Donald Trump seemed to offer that hope. He was not a Washington insider. He didn't have any political ties to any of the parties. He was a Democrat for most of his life, as we all know, right? It's funny. But what people failed to understand was that he was as, if not more so, corrupt and I guess debauched and perverted as all of the rest of the parasitic elite. They are. That's just who they are. And Donald Trump, he's the conductor on the train, right? And Epstein, he was shoveling the coal into the engine. Ah, woo! All about the Pedo Express. Woo! Because we have testimony now, and the women are coming forward. Names are going to be named. And now there was this ridiculous thing I heard about Donald Trump being an FBI informant. I think that's hilarious.
I don't know. Kindergarten cop, Mackie, if you know what I'm saying.
Kindergarten cop. Yeah, but we're now entering. But this is where it gets really dangerous. Now, let's say Donald Trump is guilty of something in that space, right? He's guilty of many other things, right? But let's say he's implicated in the whole Epstein debacle. Do you think he's just going to take it lying down? He's going to declare martial law. He's going to say this is a hoax. He's going to say, oh, they're out to get me. This is a witch hunt. None of this is true, etc., right? All the witnesses, all these women, they're all liars. They're all liars, all of them, if any of them should implicate him. And he will double down on his military deployments. And some of the major cities in America will be militarily controlled. And he'll probably push it so it comes to confrontation so you can declare nationwide martial law. Nationwide martial law in the United States would give him the same powers as Putin and Xi Jinping and even Modi to some extent enjoy. Xi Jinping, I mean, of course, Xi Jinping, sorry. Because there would be no more, already the judiciary is gone. Already the legislative is gone. They've given him free rein. The only thing that remains is the executive, right? And as soon as you have martial law where everything goes to him, I mean, this is scary stuff. This is really scary stuff. And again, remember, Dave, we always used to say when things go sideways, they go sideways really, really fast, right? This is things going sideways, everybody. We're in the sideways motion right now. Now, again, I'm in Australia, so is Dave. Good for us, right? But it's not. This is not something that is going to go away. This can't be ignored. The American people have to do something about this. If you do not, you all be goose stepping along with everybody else. Okay, before Dave's grandfather clock chimes midnight. I can tell you that. Okay. Goose stepping along! Come along, Jerry! Come along, says George to Jerry. Be the guy that comes along. Come along. Come on. Come on.
There's really inefficient ways of getting about that just expend energy for no reason whatsoever. And I have to say, goose stepping or any other military thing where you're not just simply walking That's what a waste of energy, especially if you've got a 60-kilo pack on your back. Forget it. It's never going to happen, right? So I'm going to say, I don't care who you are. I'm taking Jerry's position on there. There's not a chance that I'm going to go goose stepping. So
I'm with you.
Yeah, you know, it's really funny. I saw it. It's on Jerry Seinfeld. I saw a breakdown of the B movie. It's not called the B movie. It's just called B movie. There is no the in the title, and it's a play on words as being like, is it an A movie or is it a B movie? And it's definitely a B movie. And he was one of the writers. That's why he's voicing the main character. And there was so many things wrong with it that it wasn't funny. It really wasn't. How are they driving cars? Why are there buildings with roads when they can easily fly because they're bees? Why would you need any of those extra? It doesn't make a lick of sense. Yeah. Their parents, his parents say, we'll be in the 16,000th row, thinking there's this beehive, but there's only 12 rows of seats. It didn't make any sense. The jokes were there, but then the artist doing the rendering didn't include any of that. I would imagine, the 16,000th seat or row would be kind of like in Star Wars, where Palpatine was talking to the entire galaxy's worth of representatives. Yeah, that would make sense if they had a very similar thing to that. But no. And then how can he talk to humans and the dog and a cow? Meaning all of these things could talk English anyway, but refused. None of it made sense, but except for the fact that Jerry wrote it, so he was voicing the main character, and I think that's hilarious. Good on him too, for making any amount of money off that movie. So, apart from Trump doing his thing, there was two last stories I had. One was the maintenance. Remember that tram that in Lisbon?
Yes, in Portugal.
Right? Yeah, its brakes failed and it careened down a street. It failed to negotiate a turn. And I'll put it on screen so you can see it. You can actually see the crash item behind it. It was burling down the street here. People didn't leap to their safety. They just rode it into a collision. And it was awful that people died. Yeah. But did you know that the maintenance tender for Lisbon's 140-year-old cable cars was scrapped over price just days before the deadly crash?
Yeah, I did hear that. I think that's
Who needs?
That's where we. That's yeah.
Who needs it? Yeah, maintenance. It's 140 years old. We don't need to maintain it, but that's the only reason it's been going, sir. Doesn't matter. And look how much of the money they were asking for. No, forget it. We don't need that. It's like life cycle, man. Computer life cycle in corporations. We just buy some more, don't we? Right? Yeah, that's what life cycle is. Oh, but wait, let's hold off. Let's hold off buying it because I don't want to do it this financial year. Let's do it next financial year. All right, as long as you sign this thing that says that this is the position you took, I'm happy to obey you. But you know what? If we get hacked because there's a patch that couldn't be applied because the machines are too old, that's up to you. Yeah, good luck with that. It's the same thing, man. So people's lives were lost. 16 were lost and 23 injured.
Yeah. But this is the thing. I think we spoke about this before, and Fight Club actually got this right. If the cost of a recall for faulty anything, a car, plane, a street car, whatever, if the cost of the recall is higher than the potential payout in the litigation by the deceased,
that's right.
If that's higher, guess what? There's no recall.
That's right.
Because this is the thing. Recently in Australia, I can't remember who, but someone was slapped with a massive tens of millions of dollars worth of fine.
It was Commonwealth Bank.
Commonwealth Bank, yeah.
Yes.
I think it was 90 million. Now,
90 million
oh my
for
God,
a $500 million underpayment of their staff.
So as far as they're concerned, we've just made $410 million. Thank you very much. You've just legitimized my $500 million fraud. You've just, okay, here's 90 million. It's like the government is saying, hey, you defrauded your people by 500 million. We want a cut of that. We want a piece. Give us some. And $90 million fine.
Hang on.
In order.
Why are they all high-fiving each other outside the courtroom?
That's exactly right. Now, in order, and this is why litigation in America seems so high, right? Now, in order for a fee or a fine to be meaningful, it has to be so high that the person or corporation or whoever will never do this thing again. Never.
I would have charged them twice the amount. So if it was $500 million, it would be $1 billion fine.
It's $1 billion fine. Thank you very much. And some of and all plus, you must also now pay all of the back monies. Okay?
All of it. That's right.
All of it. So it's actually
because that's the reason why I'm not in charge. And you have to do it tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't care what happens.
And everybody who was involved in the decision-making process that decided that this was a good idea is now out of a job. Thank you very much.
Oh,
okay.
So I had executed as the top item, but that's all right.
In Australia, we no longer have.
Once again, that's the reason why I'm not in charge of
there you go. No, but look, and that's the thing though, and I'm really
publicly flogged. I'm still running down my list.
Whatever works. All I can say is whatever we have is not working. Right? Whatever we have is not working. Look at countries like China, Singapore, right? Now, oppressive, sure enough. You can't say whatever you want, okay. Now, I'm always baffled by this freedom of speech thing, but that's okay, though. But it works. And crime is very, very low because you know what the punishment is. I mean, if you are engaged in crime, you're either very, very, very desperate or very, very, very stupid, okay? Because the punishment is so severe. I mean, drug smuggling. I know that's the music. In Singapore, in Indonesia, death penalty.
Well, that'll stop it. So it'll stop it for those people. There's always more in the queue. Hey, Mackie, this is the end of the first hour. You can like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you've seen the Everstoff in the wild, then do that for us. It helps with the algorithm, and we'd really like to be able to get more views, more eyes on glass. If we can, help us out. We're going to be talking about the Hypothesis Part 5 when we come back from the break. See you in a minute.
You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.